So, hi everyone, and very welcome from our side. We are very happy to be here today and to contribute to this wonderful conference. And this is Max. He's our business development manager at Datenservice. And my name is Duc, and I'm the head of innovation lab at the same company. And yes, today we want to talk about the current blockchain adoption in TradFi. And our title slightly indicates like what our opinion is going to be, but we don't want to spoil it too much. So before we get into the specifics, let me just shortly introduce to you VM Datenservice and basically what we're doing. So to start with, it's a very simplified illustration of our business model. So basically what we do is we are the golden source when it comes to providing reliable master data on traditional securities. Data, for example, is issuance data, corporate actions data, tax data, and also reference data, which is very important for our customers. And we have customers such as banks, in general, financial institutions, and also data vendors and platforms. What is very interesting is we're a so-called national numbering agency, so we also are known for providing the ISIN, the unique identifier for securities in Germany, but not only for traditional securities, but also for so-called electronic securities according to the Electronic Securities Act. And we do this business for over 70 years right now. We have technical interfaces to all our customers in a very specific data format. And speaking of providing ISINs, let me just stick to this piece of regulation, the so-called Electronic Securities Act, for a second. So, it's very important if you want to issue a crypto or electronic stock or bond, for example, then you ultimately need an ISIN, a unique identifier for your security. And without that, you cannot perform the entry in the registry, which is based on DLT, according to the new act. And as you can see right now here, this is an example of the fact that we are already an integral part when it comes to the adoption of crypto securities in Germany. And let me see that. And I want to stress out on the next slide that we have some internal insights that we brought. You won't find that on any public sources. So in 2023, around 6.3 million new securities were born or issued in Germany, and we know that because we provided the corresponding ISINs for them. And what's very striking in this chart is that you see that the derivatives part is still a huge role in Germany when it comes to just watching the sole quantity or number of issuances. And there's something like a list online by the BaFin where you can access the number of so-called electronic or crypto securities in Germany. And if you compare the numbers of existent crypto securities with the number of issuances in 2023, for example, then you see that there's like a huge potential or huge gap when it comes to the adoption, because only 0.05% of securities are tokenized today, which leaves a lot of potential for the future. And let me just leave it for now at here, and we will come back to the numbers later. And now I would like to hand over to Max.
Yeah, so I think what we saw to get started is one half of TradFi adoption, which is using blockchain to issue securities. And there's another interesting fact here. There's 6.1 million derivatives issued in Germany every year. None of the DLT securities, so none of the tokenized securities so far in Germany are derivatives, at least not the ones on public blockchains. So it's kind of weird that this huge number, the biggest chunk of actual issuances, there's not even like a POC on this yet. So it's kind of weird that it's only bonds. There's one more thing also we need to talk about. So this is a study by one of the sponsors of the conference, Bitpanda. They said 11% of German adults own crypto securities, right? So that's about 7 million people, which is a lot of people if you offer that, if you're an exchange, for example, right? But at the same time, we know from other studies that almost none of them use traditional banks. None of the people buying crypto in Germany, or most of them don't use traditional players. They all use new kind of fintechs, neo brokers, crypto exchanges, etc. So And I mean, there's a simple reason for it. There's like 1,000 banks in Germany, and less than 30 of them actually even offer crypto. They're just getting started. And this is, I guess, the big question. On the one hand, we have this huge amount of securities issuances that have sometimes very complex processes behind them. On the other hand, we have a lot of people in Germany even ready to invest in crypto, but no TradFi institutions offering them a way in, which it seems to be like a disconnect, because there's clearly money to be made here, which at the end of the day, this is what all of these institutions are run by, right? They need a business case. Clearly there's money to be made. What the hell is taking so long? Why aren't we faster? And that's kind of where I want to go into a bit of a back and forth with Duc and tell you some stories of what we've heard in the past couple of months, talking to a number of institutions, doing these little interviews. I mean, I'll ask you the question first. Like, what do you think is taking them so long, or what have you seen so far?
Actually, my favorite part I want to mention is the regulation, because if you ask me, regulation is way too strict in Germany that we have right now, or in Europe in general. So I heard something on the other conference. So it's something goes like, the US innovates, China like duplicates or replicates, and the Europeans, they regulate. And I think it's quite striking. And I give you an example. So if we as VM Datenservice want to engage, or other companies want to engage in this kind of crypto business or offer services, then sometimes, or it depends on what you want to do, you need a license. And in order to apply for the license, it takes many months, or even like 1 to 2 or even 3 years to probably get the license, and then to start earning money in the best case. So it's quite a lot of, I would say, uncertainty when it comes to this whole, seeing it from a business perspective. So just try to come up with a business case, and project some numbers that you want to have as revenues in the future. It could be quite challenging and quite tough. So I believe it's a huge thing. And just one last sentence, sorry Max, is just take a look at the DLT pilot regime, for instance. I'm not against regulation, don't get me wrong. I just say we have the DLT pilot regime, and we have lots of ideas doing with that. But so far I haven't seen any pilot yet, receiving the license, which is quite tough, to be honest.
I mean, regulation is a double-edged thing. I would say that it's often less so the regulation, it's more the regulator that's the problem. Like, for example, in Germany, it's BaFin. I don't know, when did crypto custody, that first license, come out a couple years ago? There's only a handful of people that have been approved. There's license applications that have been lying at BaFin for years by traditional financial institutions, not some kind of new startup. This is like a real TradFi player with fiduciary duty, everything set up. They know custody. For some reason, they haven't gotten the license. The same is happening with the electronic securities register, where everybody's just operating on these kind of preemptive licenses, but the actual licensing is taking really long. And the reason why it's taking so long is also another reason why TradFi is taking so long. It's talent. I don't know if there's like any engineers, devs, crypto blockchain devs sitting here. I'm willing to bet that most of you don't work for a traditional bank or don't want to work for a traditional bank. So they're really, 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 really struggling to find talent. And not only the banks, not only the traditional institutions, but also the regulators, finding people that really understand tech, that want to work for them, because the incentive isn't there. Like, yeah, there's a salary, it's probably not high enough. They haven't quite understood how expensive good developers are in the space. And like, you don't get a token, you don't get equity, you're just working for a bank. So your upside, if you know what you're doing, is a lot higher if you stay in the DeFi space.
I totally agree, but I want to go to another direction. So what we're missing right now is something like the standardization. So right now, for me, it's like very wild west when it comes to crypto. And I give you a very practical example. So if I want to invest in a stock, I know Deutsche Bank, Commerzbank, for example, or Tesla, I need to fully rely on the data that is illustrated to me. For instance, like the market cap, the number of stocks, and so on, and all these kind of metadata or master data is very important to have like reliable sources to provide these kind of data. And this is the same right now. If you go on CoinGecko, for instance, and you take a look at the Binance coin, then you will get a specific number, for instance, for the market cap. And if you go, I don't know, on CoinMarketCap, I'm very, very sure if you do it right now, you have totally different numbers. And this discrepancies is very important to have a look at. and also to find a solution in the future. I don't know, in terms of harmonized data or over various sources, for example. And yeah, maybe hand back one to you, like according to the ISINs and identifiers. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, I mean, for those that don't really understand why an ISIN is so important, I think in the panel that Stefan had, so ANA, the Association of National Numbering Agencies, they mentioned it, but basically if you're a traditional financial institutions, you're trying to trade an asset, you have counterparties, you have an exchange, you have a custodian, etc. All of these people that you deal with, they all literally communicate only in ISINs. It's just a sequence of letters and numbers, right, that has been standardized, and that's what they use. They don't use the name of the security. That's what they use, and if something doesn't have an ISIN, it does not exist in their systems. They quite literally can't use it. They can't deal with it. So it's very important that we have crypto ISINs, which we have now. And TradFi is spoiled in the sense that they are very used to master data, metadata, reference data just being the same and being reliable, and they don't really have to think about it. And they have all of these centralized institutions, they're all best buddies, and everything works. They don't want to do their own research, right? They don't want to struggle with kind of misclicking, losing money, whatever. So I think that's also a big point. And another one is cost and benefit, especially when we pivot away from crypto assets and towards traditional securities. Like I think you were part of this conversation too that we had, where we found out that, there are some banks in Germany, they've done some studies and they found out that if they were to shift the issuance of their securities to blockchain, to DLT, they would potentially have cost savings probably in the 5 to 10 million area, I think, something like that. Pretty straightforward. Sounds pretty good. Problem is, that's not enough. They've got other places that they need to fix where they will save even more money if they fix it. It's just the priority list is very different. They have very old IT infrastructure. It's all of these old leaky pipes. I don't want to paint too gloomy a picture, but it's kind of what it is, and they need to stop the bleeding first, or fix other areas first before they can even think about building this new thing, if they wanted to work with the rest of their infrastructure. So sometimes it's very difficult for them to get the resources they need to work on something when there's just something much, much more pressing going on somewhere else in their infrastructure.
Yeah, I totally agree, but we don't want to end this on a negative note. Definitely not. I think we do see that we are engaged in many working groups in Germany. There are also like many good examples of financial institutions operating already in DeFi or offering services like custody and many more, tokenization. So it's a good thing. I think it's very good that now in 2024 we don't. It's my opinion, we don't have to tell like what DLT is anymore and what Bitcoin is. And I think education-wise, we are on a very good level. Many companies already are still or already in the application process when it comes to offering services, according to MiCA and other regulations. So it's a very good thing that we are doing. What I hope for the future, and maybe you also have some points on that, is I think we need like someone who's going like the big steps, like doing the like a brave move and just going forward and start with derivatives business, so tokenizing that, coming up with big volumes. And I think if someone will make this move, then many will follow and more will come. And yeah, I'm hoping that we will have that. But what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, no, I think it's a big follower culture, and it does take bold people to move forward, or the risk of not doing it, the risk of not doing crypto, the risk of not offering these services needs to be so high that if you don't enter it, you're just going to lose. And that's kind of what needs to happen. So at the end of the day, I think it's a grassroots movement. It's coming up from the bottom, and if the risk becomes too high for them, the opportunity to lose out is too big, they'll move fairly quickly all of a sudden. I think they have, like all of these institutions, they have other gears they can kick into. It's just it hasn't kicked in yet. And also, we're all very impatient. Let's be honest, like we're very impatient. These are really old houses. Imagine you have an old villa, it's 100 years old. You need to renovate the whole thing, put in new pipes, right? Get a new electricity setup, want to put solar panels on the roof, etc. And then on the other side, there's someone saying, oh, I just built like a completely new house. I'm way faster than you. Yeah, of course, because you don't have legacy stuff to deal with. We have very little time left. I do want to give one question to the audience if you want. I mean, we're happy to talk any anecdote or if you have any specific questions. you can shoot it to us and we'll give you the best possible reply. Now's your chance.
Well,
there's a timer. There's
yeah.
18 seconds left. This is your chance to ask us a question. Yes, there's raised hand. I'll come.
Oh yes, thank you.
Hi. So basically my question is, in your ideal world, how would things go? You know, because you have this experience from the traditional finance, and then we're coming into new finance. How would those two worlds emerge? And yeah, my name is Marina from EUCI.
We've met before.
Do you want to start or shall I?
You can start.
I think in my opinion, actually it's a good question. So I think if you see it like as a picture, I feel like everyone is like working on his own piece of puzzle. And I think we need to see that or analyze it from a very holistic view. So in the example of electronic securities, according to the Act, we know that the process is not ideal because it's not automated. It's very, you have like some issues where you do that manually. So it's not, like conceptualized like fully end-to-end, like in a perfect way. So many companies, they focus, on trying to do something as a POC, which is very fine and very good. But often you rely on just workarounds. So I believe this will not help. So there's a saying, it calls like innovation creates, innovation creates inefficiencies. So this is actually something that we don't want to see. So just take your time, think it holistically, and onboard all the partners that you need or you require in order to have like a very good process end to end.
Yeah, I would add one thing. Start talking very often with the people at these TradFi institutions that are trying to get something done. Like, at least from my experience in Germany, there's people running around at all of these banks that have their little project, and they're fighting the same fight because they're also fighting against different priorities, different resources, and they know very well what the problems are. So if we just as a crypto industry can start talking to these people more and more intensively and build up more trust in the sense that they really will tell us about where the actual hiccup is in the process, then I think we can just fix it and make it a lot easier for them and give a little bit more of a white glove service. That is, if we want TradFi to enter the space. I mean, I'm sure there's some people that will also argue that that's actually not what we want at all, and the longer they stay out, the better. Also, okay.
Okay, I think the time is over, so thank you very much for your attention, and we are very happy to have a discussions later on if you like. Thanks so much.
Thanks.